While at a gas station, a man noticed a woman smoking as she was filling up her car. He thought to himself, that sure is a silly thing to do, but he knew better than to confront strangers about their stupidity. He sees two policemen on the other side of the street. They can see the woman smoking, but aren't doing anything about it. As the man is going to the cashier to pay for his gas, he hears loud screaming behind him. He looks around and sees that this woman's arm is on fire. She is literally running around the gas station, waving her arm in the air. The policemen jump into action at this point and put the fire out. They then arrest the woman and handcuff her. The man thought this was harsh and that the woman should be going to the hospital, not jail. So he asked one of the policemen why they were arresting her. The cop replied, for waving a firearm in public. It is a very dark and stormy night. A private is on his first assignment as guard duty. Suddenly, a general walks by, taking his dog for a walk. The nervous young private snaps to attention, makes a perfect salute, and blurts, "Sir, good evening, sir." The general returns the salute and says, "Good evening, soldier. Nice night, isn't it?" Well, it isn't a nice night, but the private isn't going to disagree with the general, so he salutes again and replies, "Sir, yes, sir." The general continues, "You know, there's something about a stormy night that I find soothing. It's really relaxing. Don't you agree?" Again, the private doesn't agree, but responds, "Sir, yes, sir." The general, pointing to his dog, says, "This is a golden retriever, the best type of dog to own." The private glances at the dog, salutes yet again, and says, "Sir, yes, sir." The general continues, "I got this dog for my wife." The private, still very nervous, stammers, "Good trade, sir." An old blind cowboy wanders into an all-girl biker bar by mistake. He finds his way to a bar stool and orders a shot of Jack Daniels. After sitting there for a while, he yells to the bartender, "Hey, you want to hear a blonde joke?" The bar immediately falls silent. In a very deep, husky voice, the woman next to him says, "Before you tell that joke, cowboy, I think it is only fair, given that you are blind, that you should know three things. 1. The bartender is a blonde girl with a baseball bat. 2. The bouncer is a blonde girl with a billy club. 3. I'm a 6-foot-tall, 175-pound blonde woman with a black belt in karate. Now think about it seriously, cowboy. Do you still want to tell that blonde joke?" The blind cowboy thinks for a second, shakes his head, and mutters, "No, not if I'm going to have to explain it 3 times." A mother visits her son for dinner, who has a girl as a roommate. During the meal, his mother can't help but notice how pretty his roommate is. She has long been suspicious of a relationship between the two, and this has only made her more curious. Over the course of the evening, while watching the two interact, she starts to wonder if there's more between her son and his roommate. Reading his mum's thoughts, her son volunteers, "I know what you must be thinking, but I assure you, we are just roommates." About a week later, his roommate comes to him and says, "Ever since your mother came over for dinner, I've been unable to find the silver serving tray. You don't suppose your mother took it, do you?" He replies, "Well, I doubt it, but I'll email her just to be sure." He sits down and writes, "Dear Mom, after visiting me, I found that my silver serving tray is missing. I'm not saying that you took it, and I'm not saying that you didn't take it, but the fact remains that it has been missing ever since you were over for dinner. Love, your son." Several days later, he receives an email from his mother, which reads, "Dear son, I'm not saying that you sleep with your roommate, and I'm not saying that you don't sleep with her, but the fact remains that if she was sleeping in her own bed, she would have found the silver serving tray by now under her pillow." A college professor was in a confessional booth, talking to the priest. "Father, my wife has been out of town," he said. "After class today, a beautiful young co-ed invited me back to her dorm room. I know it's wrong, but I've never been in a situation like this before, and she was just so beautiful and young. I can't believe it myself, but I agreed to go. We started having, well, and then her roommate walked in. Next thing I know, she joins us, and all three of us are, well, The priest sighs deeply. The violation of marriage vows is a serious sin, said the priest. I'm not sure that I can give you any penance right now that would fit such a grave sin. I'm sorry, said the professor. I'm neither Catholic nor Jewish. I don't need your forgiveness. Then why are you telling me this? Asked the priest. Are you kidding? Replied the professor. I'm telling everyone. A guy sends a text to his next-door neighbor. Sam, I'm sorry. I've been riddled with guilt, and I have to confess. I have been helping myself to your wife when you're not around, probably more than you. It's been so incredible and fun. I've not been able to stop myself. Sometimes it goes on for hours and hours. I know it's no excuse, but I don't get it at home. I can't live with the guilt any longer. I hope you'll accept my sincerest apology. It won't happen again. Feeling outraged and betrayed, Sam grabs his gun, goes into the bedroom, and without a word, shoots his wife. Moments later, the guy gets a second text. Damn autocorrect. I meant to say Wi-Fi. John was a clerk at a small pharmacy, but he was not much of a salesman. He could never find the item the customer wanted. Peter, the owner, had about enough, and warned John that the next sale he missed would be his last. Just then, a man came in coughing and asked John for the best cough syrup. Try as he might, John couldn't find the cough syrup. Remembering Peter's warning, John sold the man a box of laxatives and told him to take them all at once. The customer did as John suggested, and then walked outside and leaned against a post. Peter had seen all this occur and came over to ask John what had happened. He wanted something for his cough, but I couldn't find the cough syrup, so I substituted it for laxatives and told him to take them all at once, John said. Peter was shocked. Laxatives won't cure a cough, he shouted angrily. Sure they will, said John, pointing at the man leaning on the post. Look at him. He's afraid to cough. A man was out walking his dog when he decided to stop off at the bar for a beer. The man ordered his beer, then looked down toward the end of the bar where he saw another man with a big black mean-looking dog. The guy at the end of the bar looked at the other man's dog and said, Hey, that sure is an ugly little dog you got there, mister. All short, fat, squat, ugly and yellow. The man replied, Yeah, well, he may be short, fat, squat, ugly and yellow, but he sure can fight. Oh yeah, said the guy at the end of the bar. Well, I've got $100 here that says my dog can beat your dog in a fight. The man agreed, and the two of them took the dogs out to the alley behind the bar and let them fight it out. The short, fat, squat, ugly yellow dog kicked you-know-what out the big black mean-looking dog. When the fight was over, the big black mean-looking dog was over in the corner licking his wounds, while the short, fat, squat, ugly yellow dog was hopping around. I've never seen a dog look like that before, all short, fat, squat, ugly and yellow. What kind of dog is that anyway? The guy asked. The man replied, Well, he used to be an alligator before I cut his tail off and painted him yellow. My friends, if you want to watch other funny jokes, subscribe to the channel.